you doing? My head hurts. That's a good way to open a stream.
How you doing?
Okay, cool. Just wanted to test audio. Okay, kids. Oh, Sophie, just go away, please. Enough. Immediately, just scratching at the door. Well, I've had quite the adventure trying to get this stream going. And it continues to this very moment. Because apparently I need to let Sophie in. Hello. Come in. Fluffy little douchebag. Hi, Mark. I love you. Oh, what a fluffy douche. Ah, Jesus. Well, today I woke up at about 5. Let me get in the game. And I realized, oh shit, we have no water in the house. Because for those who don't know, in North Carolina, at least where I live, they actually put an experimental chemical in the water that may or may not cause cancer. There's not much else to that story. That is all true. So we have to buy bottled water all the time, and we can only carry so much at a time, obviously. So I realized, I gotta go rush out. Then my mom was like, "Hey, gotta pick up some other stuff, or we're gonna starve to death." And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I guess that is true. So I got all that stuff. Went to the sandwich place, and when I was loading everything into the car, I fucking cleave my head on the trunk door of my car. And it still hurts a little bit. I iced it. But there's still like a residual headache. Now my dog's gonna eat my sandwich. And I wouldn't even react if she did. It just another thing. Thank you for not noticing this sandwich somehow, Sophie. Because if you did notice it, it would be gone by now. But, anyway. I'm ready for dank. I need dank. I need dank in my life. I need Bowen. I want to talk about the characters and stuff today as well. Got 9 people. It's a good start. Also, yes, feel free to share the stream. Let me get rid of all the text. That's why I always, watch the stream like a hawk when I'm first starting out, because that's the only time when I can notice shit like that. Okay, let me turn back up the desktop audio. Pump up my mic just a little bit. Okay. So, but going back to Bowen. I have all 10 character slots full, don't I? Damn. Does anyone else play this game this way? I just feel the need to constantly experiment with new characters, all the time. But he is Bowen. Get rid of the text, keep the subtext, I know. That's how I do. How's it going, Bleeder Dan? I'm doing pretty good. I do like some carcinogens in my tap water. Fucking tell me about it. But yeah, it's just really obnoxious because, I don't know. Water is one of those things that you just need so much of that you're never really gonna have enough. How am I doing on terms of this character? I actually have not checked in on this character since I last played. What are my bootsies? Okay. I love that little flinch that he's doing. Let's see. We're not doing Fashion Souls right now. We don't have enough options. Okay, I guess it's as good as it gets for now. If you ignore the pants, which don't really suit the rest, this is okay Fashion Souls. I don't know about the Dark Gauntlets, though. I was thinking about getting the Grasscrest Shield. Got everything +2, so I'm going to upgrade that. And I've got to switch between the Parma and the Grasscrest as I need them. And we're probably never going to use another shield for the rest of the game, besides those two. Twinkling titties. Oh my god, I have like no souls. Can I sell anything? But yeah, today I wanted to talk a lot about the storytelling in Dark Souls, because I kind of had another epiphany. As I'm sure that a lot of you have noticed at this point. I guess I never befriended the giant. Doki Doki has ruined my life. That's like not even a comedic exaggeration. It just kind of upended everything I was trying to do this month, because it just so thoroughly scarred me for so many days. But, no Fashion Souls, unsubs. Notices the cape, resubs. Yeah, oh yeah, you know it. Very sexy. Goes good with just about everything. Like, I want Jakku, the main character of Angel's Edict, to have a cloak that kind of looks like this. Different color and style, but still. I just love that look. And it's so... I mean, it clips all the time with my fucking sheath. But beyond that, it's very sexy. Oh, wait, I can't upgrade this again because it's, like, considered super special. Okay. I don't want to follow that path. In terms of spells, good. What other spells do I have besides this extremely situational one? That is also pretty situational. Sure. I like having poise. Might as well. So, last time we finally cleared the fucking swamp, and this time we're gonna go to the Cathedral of the Deep, and I have a lot to say about it. But first, I just wanted to point something out about the storytelling in this game, and contrast it to something like Doki Doki. And this is like a mild spoiler for Doki Doki, but whatever. I guess I just don't care anymore. So, be aware of that. The thing with Doki Doki is that it puts you through hell and doesn't really give you anything for it. If I had to point out, like, one major problem I had with it... This guy lets us get the invasion orb. If I had one major problem with it, it would be the fact that its ending is, like, one of the biggest anticlimaxes I've ever seen, possibly in any work of fiction. Because it makes you suffer through absolute hell, some of the most emotionally traumatizing storytelling I've ever seen, for 10 text boxes. It's the one part, like, that is probably the one part of the game where I just don't, I think it's completely indefensible. Like, for a lot of other things, like, you know, like, I can understand that game being cathartic for people struggling with depression. I can understand that game being eye-opening for people who are ignorant to depression. The one thing where I just don't think there's any argument against this criticism, the good ending, quote-unquote, is absolute shit. And I would be fascinated to see anyone try to defend it, because I don't think that there is any defense for it, because it's horrible. It's, like, such a nothing ending. And I think that, and you know, oh, you know what, I just kind of learned, that's where this guy is, hi. You're having a very emotional moment, and I respect that. The guy had an item. Oh well. I'm not ruining this joke. And the reason why I was thinking about this so much is because I've been playing a lot of Dark Souls in contrast to Doki Doki. And that's so interesting to me, because when you look at these two games, one of them appears to be heartwarming and the other one appears to be dark and depressing, and it's actually the exact opposite to what you would think. I find the Dark Souls series to be oddly uplifting. Not because of its tone, obviously, or even its message. I mean, the message of the series is literally everything eventually dies and fades. But the way it delivers that message is a lot less nihilistic than that would initially seem. Because we're going to be walking through the graveyard while I talk, because for one thing, it's thematic, and two, it just lets me play more absent-mindedly, so I can talk. But when you think about all the NPCs that you help, like, think about Greirat. Like, Greirat has lost everything. He's a character that, you know, he loses the one other person that he evidently cares for at the beginning of the game, Loretta. We don't know about his relationship with Loretta, we just know that he cares about her. Could be any kind of relationship. Could be friend, family, lover, whatever. And, you know, he's in mourning. He is sad about that, but he also moves on and tries to help you by stealing, like, things from all the abandoned towns to bring to you to sell, to support your journey. Probably the epitome of this is Siegward, who is, like, one of the best characters in the whole series, and probably one of, if not the most important NPC in any game in the series. Which is quite a claim, I know, but I really think that he is. Which is why it's so necessary to do his side quest. We will be seeing more of him today, most likely. But he's such an interesting character because... I'll read one of his items. He gave us Siegbrew, and I don't have one because I donated it to the Crows, unfortunately. But the Siegbrew is a beer that the undead can enjoy. And it casts everything about... Like, that one item changes everything in Dark Souls for me. And I know that sounds really stupid, but hear me out. The fact that there's an item that is just alcohol that undead can enjoy implies that they can't normally enjoy alcohol or food or drink in general. Siegward is also the only character who's ever seen napping. He cooks food. He makes Estus soup. Like, no one else makes food. Like, no other undead in the whole series, to my knowledge, has subsisted off anything besides souls. And the fact that he wants to bring that comfort of normal life to the undead when no one else does is kind of beautiful to me. And this is why I think that Dark Souls is actually surprisingly uplifting, because it's one of the most hopeless settings for a game ever. The world is literally on the precipice of ending when you start your journey. That's true of most of these games, honestly. And either you rebirth the world or replace it with something new. And I think that that's, you know, like there's a certain poetry in that. But the fact that there's so many characters that are trying to make the most of that situation is why the game is still uplifting. I really hope I can remember this because it's far into the game, unfortunately. So I really hope I don't accidentally skip his dialogue. But our big boy Andre over here, if you give him an item called the Profaned Coal, which allows you to infuse certain kinds of weapons, he'll be a little bit nervous and say, you know, like, this is a very dark artifact. And he actually tells you, now, I'll use this because I'm a smith and I can't shirk my duties. But I just want you to know that you shouldn't lose hope. That's why we're all here, isn't it? And it's just such a nice little eye-opening moment. You know, like don't be tempted to that darkness and that like the selfishness and evil that this item represents. I don't know. I find that a very subtle, powerful moment, which is something that the series is absolutely brimming with. And then you contrast that to something like Doki Doki, which is one of the most frustrating games I've ever played, because its ending and its message is so muddled by its delivery. And the fact that a lot of its hopelessness is just hopelessness, and you can't do anything about it, you can't even comfort people at all, and it just says, oh, you kind of comforted people, but you didn't. In that sense, it's actually kind of unrealistic. I've dealt with actual suicidal people, and you can help them a lot more than you can help them in Doki Doki. I think that it's truly awful that this game trying to convey hope and the power of helping people, basically, again, spoiler, turn off the audio for 10 seconds if you don't want to hear the spoiler. But it introduces a character who is suicidally depressed, and then they kill themselves. And that's it. Great. Like they say, you can't help me, and she meant it, apparently. And that's just kind of that doesn't come across as saying anything so much as just a dick move on part of the writer. Like, it feels like it's not saying anything. And if it is trying to say something, because I felt like that game was trying to say, there's a lot of power in helping people, there's a lot of good in helping people. And then it just kind of shits on its own message. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say about that comparison. Because in my own stories, I go way darker and deeper than either of these games honestly go, and I get more detailed and brutal. Like, the story that I'm writing, the main conflict is literally trying to prevent a widespread genocide of a religious group. Like, I go darker than either of these games, but I maintain that Dark Souls level of hope and diversity in how the people go about handling it. It's not like everyone is a nihilist. Like, if the Souls franchise was full of nothing but crestfallen warriors, I think the series would be a lot less popular. I hope that explains my position a little bit. And I'm sorry about talking about Doki Doki again, but it's dominated my life and my perspective. And I was actually thinking of making a video on this very topic, comparing the two, and why Dark Souls is not this hopeless game, and why its difficulty enhances its themes so much, because, everyone who plays Dark Souls dies. They die pretty frequently. That's just kind of how it goes. Especially when you're trying builds and playstyles that you're not super familiar with, because you have to basically relearn the game. That's why I'm using a greatsword for the character that we're seeing right here, because if I was doing something brand new, I would probably be fucking it up. And it would be hard for me to commentate while playing. But Miyazaki has made it clear several times that he just wanted people to feel accomplished when they overcome a challenge. Like, the game isn't necessarily about the challenge just enhances the mood and the emotional pull of the game, being this hopeless place that you make somewhat better. But I think it says quite a lot that Doki Doki makes Dark Souls look optimistic. I don't know. I feel like I'm being very harsh on that game, but it's on the brain because I saw that it got the People's Choice Award for Best Game of the Year. And it's very good, it's very innovative, but a lot of stuff came out this year. And there are definitely elements of Doki that are just... I think it's very hard to argue that they're not being done clumsily. There's a lot of elements that are handled poorly. And I've seen a lot of people just say that the second act is basically a creepypasta, and I gotta say, looking at a lot of the second act, it just feels so awkward and unnecessary. Which is weird because it's like the genre, it's psychological horror. But given what the story was tackling up to that point, it feels almost out of place. Which I don't think is exactly what they were going for. This thing does way too much damage, by the way. Why is this weapon so good? Seems a little insane. Whatever. Anyway, I'm sorry for rambling about it again. I hope that people find that interesting. There is hope in Dark Souls. It's about the end of an age and the start of a new one, exactly. It's about helplessness. That's what makes it a horror game. That it is just a game, and you have no choice because a game can only do what it's programmed to do. Yeah. Yeah, but I think that, yes. Absolutely. I understand that. I suppose the way that I suppose what I'm trying to say is that it was designed the way that it was on purpose. You know what I mean? Like it's trying to say something. I disagree with that message, and I disagree with the way that the message was presented. I think is the best way to put it. I hope that clarifies my position a bit more. Because yeah, I know that they couldn't put in infinite possibilities. I just think that it's very disheartening that there were a lot of options and things that were taken away from the player that felt kind of forced. Like, is there really a reason you can't hang out with Monica? Is there really a reason you can't check up on Sayori more urgently? Is there really a reason you can't, why does the game tell me about how abusive and horrible Natsuki's home situation is? And then doesn't let me do anything to pursue that issue? Because again, the game feels like it's two half-finished products. Like there's one horror segment at the end, and there's one full visual novel with complex characters at the beginning. And the second half exists to build up to this very, very cool conclusion of... I feel like this whole game was boiling down to Monica sitting in a strange room staring at the player, which was one of the greatest moments in gaming I think I've ever seen. I don't think it was worth that journey. I really don't. What that game was building... I feel like everything in that game was effectively sacrificed to lead up to some very cool moments. Because, I don't know, so much about it just doesn't work. I don't think that its emotional bits are enhanced by the horror. I don't think the horror is enhanced by the emotional bits, and if it is, then it's downright manipulative, and it does a poor job of representing its subject matter. Because you can't just, make a game about, helping suicidal people and then say, nah, fuck you, it's hopeless. That's a bad message. I don't agree with that message. And if that's not the message, then whatever message they were going for, they were bad at delivering it. Is that a harsh enough criticism? I have no arrows. I'll have to fix that. I have no souls either, unfortunately. Open up with this. It's not as much as I was hoping. I like these guys because they just kind of stand out a little bit. They both have very different fighting styles. There's another bandit kind of character around here. This guy will try to bleed you out because he has a bandit's knife in his offhand and he has kukri, which do bleed buildup. And I don't know, it's just kind of an interesting fight. Because he has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. He will use his longsword two-handed sometimes. See that? I will clip through the environment and get stuck. Hold on, let me, stop talking about it and fight him. The AI for the human enemies is still a little wonky, because as you can see, he will just kind of take a lot of punishment from me. He will just sort of stand there and let a lot of this happen. So, not ideal, but I guess it's just because in this game you eventually get used to fighting other players with these movesets, and it's the human element will always make it more difficult. Like, even a brand new player is typically going to be harder to kill than these NPCs in a certain way. Like, they have better... Like, these guys have better stats. That's the only thing that really makes them threatening. Because they can catch you off guard, obviously. Because there's just so much variability in the combat of Dark Souls, and you will get caught off guard. But, I don't know. A human will always be less predictable. Yeah, large arrow? I don't know what the optimum range is for large arrows. It's not that. I might be able to buy Kukri soon, which are really handy. Ugh. You gotta be careful with these guys. Oh, I could have riposted him. So this guy can be very threatening, but not that dangerous. Just a bit imposing, because he can power himself up. I have a very good shield to fall back on. Not that I've been relying on it that much, but still. If you ever play through this game, make sure you bring a decent 100% block shield. You know, one that absorbs 100% of physical damage. You should always have that for your first playthrough. I think that that's a pretty good rule. Because that way you could just make more mistakes and learn enemy movesets more effectively. I don't think I would ever... Like, unless I'm doing a challenge run, which I might stream a challenge run. I don't think I would ever do a commentary or a stream in which I'm using, like, no shield. I like no shield builds. I have fun with them, but... when you're multitasking, you want a shield. Let's see if I can get a few more arrows, because I really got nothing. Also, I'll catch up on chat, because I'm sure a lot of people are talking about the Doki Doki stuff. Also, MC, do you like the invisible walls on the high wall of Lothric? At least the Undead Settlement does not have many, if any. The invisible walls on the high wall of Lothric. I think I know what you're talking about. You know, the ones that kind of prevent you from falling off, is that what you mean? Because I think that that's reasonable. I think that they wanted to make a really cool, impressive area visually for the first area. And then they kind of thought, like, well, there's a lot of places where logically the player could fall to their death here, and maybe that's not the best thing for the first area of the game. So I think that that was kind of their logic, that they just wanted to minimize that problem. Thank you! A new subscriber. Appreciate that tremendously. Durzo! Thank you very much for the Prime sub. Appreciate it. First sub of the day. Let's see. And the Paladin's Ashes are pretty cool. Unfortunately, I don't think I get any use out of anything that they give. But, yeah, anyway, I think that those invisible walls were implemented pretty well. Because they're not super visually obvious. Assuming they're what we're talking about. The ones that block arrows. I don't like those as much. Yeah, I do have a problem with those. Because those kind of exist because of the dragon. I know what you're talking about now. Those are a little bit less reasonable. I think if the player wants to try that, then the fall-off should just make it so that it does 0 damage, which is really easy to program. I don't know why they didn't just do it that way. Or they could have made the dragon come and fucking chase you. That'd be badass.
Thank you.
Hey! A lot of new subs tonight. But Ductorium Podgelasi. Damn, that is a crazy name. I'm sure I butchered it, but thank you very much. Put the phonetics in chat. Because I have no idea how to say that one. Morningstar. Really interesting weapon, because it's a mace. It can really knock people down very effectively. You can stun lock enemies really well. You get Perseverance, which is probably my favorite weapon skill for PvP. Because people don't really know how to deal with it, because it gives you Dark Souls 1 poise, basically. And you can just kind of get on top of people. And just kind of shake off their attacks, and you take way less damage. And if you combine it with some of the bleed buffing things, then this baby's dangerous. It's pretty good. A little bit less consistent than the default mace, though. So it's not, like, unbalanced or anything. Actually, you do sell the feather arrows, so let's get a few of those. I'm definitely not going to be able to stock up very well yet. We will after we clear the cathedral, though, because the cathedral gives you a ridiculous amount of souls. Oh, let's get some large arrows. Gray boy, you have a very sad story, my friend. But you can make it less sad, because this is Dark Souls, it's not Doki Doki. You can make his story less sad. I'm okay with I'm okay with even inevitably sad stories. I guess it's just all in the message. And the delivery of that message. I'm sorry if I ignored anyone talking about Doki Doki, but I have to scroll up a little bit just to catch up. I don't know how hard it would be to code a dragon to be able to fly and firebomb whichever area you are in. It would certainly be harder than what they do. If you're familiar with the Souls series, they've kind of always handled dragons in a way very similar to the one on the high wall. Let's go take a peek at him while we're talking about him. Actually, there's a better angle. Well, we can look at him from both angles. So, first of all, show up here, you immediately see the dragon once he spawns for the first time. And it's a great presence, because he's just kind of there in the background. You see the dead dragon in the foreground. It's cool. It's very cool visually. You can't snipe him from here, and you can't snipe him from the high tower that's over there. Which is kind of an issue. Like, that's kind of the issue that we're talking about here. Because it prevents you from organically solving the problem of this dragon, and also makes the dragon feel like it's just this weird automated turret, which is basically what it is. And all the dragons in the Souls games, at least most of them, act like this, unless they're a boss. In Demon Souls, they're just fire turrets that exist on certain parts of the castle in Boletaria, and I think somewhere else. In Demon Souls. In Dark Souls, it's very similar. There's just that one dragon at the particular part of the game. So what you can do, you can come here and quite awkwardly, like, oh, let's shoot an arrow at this thing for 5 hours. Then it shoots its fire. And you can trick it into killing everything, which is nice, I guess, but like, this is even worse than the Dark Souls 1 Fire Drake. Here, kill these guys. Kill these guys. Or don't. Come here. Huh. Odd. I don't know why he's not... Okay, he might do it now. Or not. Huh. Oh, there we go. But, in Dark Souls 1, you could at least fight him with melee weapons. Like, he would come down to the bridge and fight you in melee range. And that was inadvisable if you were a low level, but you could do it. In this, you just have to waste 200 arrows on him, unless you just fully upgrade your ranged equipment and then come back later. I don't know. It's just very obnoxious how it's handled. But yeah, let's go check out that weird wall thing. Because it is stupid. It's just tough to program dragons well. Get out of here. Ooh. I love this weapon. Give me something? Oh, that's not worthless. Really want your armor. It's a pretty good sword, too. The shield is where it's at, but this might be the better shield, I'm not sure. This is debatably one of the best medium shields. So... Oh. You can hit him. Oh, wait, that's right, he does attack. Oh, that's interesting. Huh, I actually didn't know about that. Okay, well that's better than nothing. It's pretty funny, though. Oh, fuck. Still don't like it, though. It's just like, oh, well, that's a cool revelation. Still kind of sucks, though. Because it's like, you can't really do it. I don't know. Dragons were always kind of disappointing in these games. Are you a parry boy or a shield attack boy? I parry sometimes. I mix it up, I guess is the best way to put it. I definitely don't do shield bashing, really. In this game, depending on the weapon I'm using, I actually kind of prefer this. I like how I have the weapon skill available without having to switch, because I do like some of these abilities. This one isn't super useful, but there are some weapon arts that are really handy. So it's nice to just be able to be like, boop. But parrying is nice. I try not to rely on parrying too much, because I think it makes the game a bit too easy. It's just kind of a nice thing to whip out sometimes. Don't take that out of context. Below that bonfire from that doorway, you can shoot him with ranged stuff and never get hit by him. That's even more stupid. I just hate it because it's like such a chore. Like I don't think I need to say that I'm not going to stream killing that thing. You don't even get that much. I think you get like a large Titanite shard, or maybe a Titanite chunk, maybe. I'm pretty sure it's just a large shard, though. Which is very much not worth it. Gross eating noises on stream. That's why people come here. Am I missing out if I never use shields or riposte? I just dodge because Bloodborne. You're not missing out. I mean, it's an element of the game that makes it a bit more interesting. You can use shields in a lot of strategic ways. Like, you know, play around with shields. It's not like it's super necessary. That's the thing, like, you can play this game however you want. Focusing on dodging is the most efficient way to play this game. So... But, that is a big difference with this and Bloodborne. With Bloodborne, I believe there is no shield or any equivalent of a shield, unless I'm mistaken. There's an equivalent of riposting by disarming people by shooting them with guns. And I think that's it. So, that's it. Which is fine. Gotta try to lure these guys out. Fight them individually. I like this. Oh, I like this part. I have a lot to say about this part. This is another example of Stealth Souls, where you have several ways to handle a situation. You can kind of bum rush this place. You can run all the way forward. That guy's just going to waste his ammo on the tree, because his AI is good. Oh, look, he does readjust. I'm very proud of him. He's going to shoot. Oh, good job, buddy. Still not going to hit me, though. So you can kind of bum rush this area and just, like, charge in, sword blazing, so to speak. Or you can, like, kind of tuck away into that ravine over there, that small outcropping of rocks. You get a little bit of shelter from the barrage. Or you could do what I'm going to try to do and snipe them. There we go. So that makes it a lot easier. Another interesting thing is that you can actually make these dogs a lot easier to kill as well. So, we're going to demonstrate that. Once you memorize like which enemies have a fire weakness, they become very trivial because you can just kind of stun lock them. Not all of them, but most of them you can just kind of stun lock indefinitely. Come on. One hit point. One hit point, boy. Ah, they're still homing. I was wondering about that. So they do still home a little bit. Yeah. These hitboxes are very precise, aren't they? Maybe not. Ugh. Damn. He keeps on ever so slightly readjusting. Okay. There we go. I'm good at games. Good at games. There we go. Excuse you? Okay, we're just gonna pretend that guy died. We're done. Whoa. Dogs are very glitchy in this game. They will fly through walls. But apparently, that's not a good way to handle this situation, I guess. Yeah, this is what happens if you rush. Yeah, you see sometimes the dogs don't flinch at all. And they fly around, sometimes they clip through the environment. They also teleport. I'll demonstrate that later. Yeah, he just teleported behind me, that's why he flew out of the sky like that. But, I probably should have just done what I normally do, which is bum rush this way. Then kill everything in one hit. Because that's actually that might be that's like the weird thing about this game. Sometimes it's the safest thing to just bum rush. Like, you can see how much easier that was than being methodical. That's like the funny thing about this. It works sometimes, it just bum rush. Are there any items here? That's always been so weird to me, because it goes against everything I know about game design, but there's so many enemies like that. Like the notorious Honor Orlando archers, I'm sure a lot of people remember them. Where if you like have if you don't have a sniper build, you literally have no choice but to just rush up and kill those motherfuckers, which seems like the worst idea in the world. No. Calm down, buddy. I love just anticlimactically doing that to them. Oh, you know what? Let's demonstrate that. These guys are so funny to me. You do that, right? No? Do you just chase? Do you do the thing? Yes. I love it. I think it's... I don't know. It's one of those things where it just kind of exists to catch you off guard, and... I don't know. It's kind of funny. It's worth a laugh, at least. It's not the kind of thing that you're gonna die to very often, unless you're already distracted by something else. Wouldn't be surprised if the tree hitboxes are rectangles. I'm pretty sure they are. Once you know the level design, running is the easy way out. Yeah, that actually is... That's the weird thing about these games. Speaking personally, I don't know how many of y'all know Lobos. A much more well-known streamer than me, for fucking sure. Probably one of the most famous people on the site. But I don't know how much of my crowd typically watches Twitch streamers, so I have no idea if you know him. But he's a Dark Souls streamer, primarily. He streams the whole franchise. And he does a lot of challenge runs. And I love his stuff. He's a great guy, very entertaining. One thing that makes his stuff very boring to me sometimes is the fact that he has this crazy build where he's using only shields, or only ranged weapons, or only a bow. And then he runs past every enemy in the game, and only fights the bosses. I don't know. Personally, I find that extremely uninteresting. Like, I want to see you struggle against the game design with those limitations. I don't just want to see you kill the bosses. But, I don't know, that's a personal preference. But I think that's a testament to the fact that that kind of strategy is just so uninteresting. Like, when I'm trying a new build, I want to try that new build. I want to put it against the actual game. But, that's just my preference, I suppose. I really am wasting this second spell slot, aren't I? Like, I don't need this at all. I will eventually, because I will eventually get Karthus Flame Arc, and that'll make it worth it. Though I'll have to use it on a different weapon. Oh, these guys. Hello. You're awful and terrifying. Wow, look how imposing they are. You can see, like, they barely flinch, and they do this lovely little trick. Oh, God, it makes me sick. Look at that. Oh, my God. This Twitch is rated R for rapidly leave the stream because it's disgusting. Jesus. Yeah, that happens. But if you bring out your torch, there you go. They run away. Now, I have a couple of problems with that. I don't know if anything tells you that you can do that. I don't think anything does. I also believe I have a fire weapon. Do I have a fire element weapon? No, I don't. So we're gonna awkwardly use the torch. So, here's a cool thing about these guys. You probably noticed that they actually have kind of an imposing move set. They're very fast, do a lot of damage, they don't flinch, and they can deal that bleed status effect. So, come here. But the thing is, they are cartoonishly weak to fire. And this is one of those things that I really like about Dark Souls. Like, you can make... Like, the contrast between those two battles is insane, right? That's why I always think that the Souls games are much more about strategy and preparation than they are about actual skill. Skill pays off in PvP, to an extent. Even in PvP, your preparation matters a lot more than... Like, your build matters more than your skill in PvP. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Like, the amount of Estus and healing and health and damage that you do all gives you an innate advantage. That will often prevent the better player from winning. That's just how the PvP is in this game, and that's why a lot of people don't like it, because it has a lot less to do with skill than it debatably should. Which is sad, because a lot of people like the co-op, and you can't really have one without the other, without heavily hacking the game. But, oh, this is going to be quite the contrast. I'm sure you remember me struggling against the original Lizard. Well, this one isn't going to be that big of a deal. You can actually riposte these guys. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Don't you love that visual? There you go. Yeah, not that intimidating anymore. But very, very useful in terms of what they drop. They're meant to be a terror enemy rather than a regular one, something you don't want to fight. We're talking about the maggot guys. So I can kind of feel that. But they are pretty easy. Are we talking about something else? Because they're not that intimidating once you know what to do. But, I was going to say, I don't really like the fact that the maggots run from the fire, because I just don't think that that's particularly obvious. Because, like, you can have fire weapons, you can literally light yourself on fire, you can have a fire orb, you can do anything, and nothing else reacts, like it has to be the torch. It just feels like it's a very inorganic way of figuring out that you're supposed to get those maggots off that way. I think that they could have handled that a little bit better. Maybe a developer message. Because that's one of those cryptic things that's cryptic without really needing to be. I've seen a lot of people be really confused by this mechanic. So gross. So, we're actually very well prepared for this area, because normally Dark Souls is interesting because even though this is the most linear game in the Souls series, to my knowledge anyway, could this be a fatty? No, it's a tight spot. You bastard ahead. I like it when the messages interact with each other. But, oh! This is one of the only times when Dark Souls 3 is not super linear, because you can come to the Cathedral of the Deep, or go fight the Abyss Watchers around the same time, and they're in totally different directions, right? I wish the game had more of that, because I'm struggling to think of many other examples of that kind of thing even happening in the game. Like, there's offshoots that loop back into themselves, but in terms of substantial areas and content, the game is just so... It's just a really, really, really nice, large, open, wonderfully designed hallway in a lot of ways. It's you know, that is selling it short tremendously, because there's a lot of freedom in those levels. Like, look at this place. Like, it's a huge, 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 huge level. The inside is huge, the outside is huge. You can climb on the rafters of this building. You can do all kinds of stuff here. It's a great level. Pretty much all the levels are great. There's very few... There's like maybe one or two areas in this game that I really just don't like. The swamp comes to mind, because it's boring and irritating in a way that doesn't really feel like there's much you can do about it. It's just sort of a chore that you have to slog through. But this play, like, you know, the levels are great, but the order in which you tackle the challenges is almost always the same. And I find that to be a shame. Because the only other non-linear thing is you can fight the dancer really early, but she is literally an endgame boss. Like, she kind of marks the endgame, like, once you beat her, like, that's the endgame. And it's really unreasonable for that to be the only way that this game isn't linear. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm an idiot. We're going all the way back just to get that. Are we? Are we? I guess we are. There's no reason not to, really. But yeah, just not an ideal scenario. The end game has a lot of optional areas. Not really a lot. It has optional areas. There are optional areas in this game, and that is cool. I do appreciate that. And within each main level, there are optional places. Like, this whole place that I just looked at, you don't really need to go here at all. But, you know, it's there. There's stuff there. It's an interesting part of the level. Yeah, it's kind of an optional chain. Yeah, it sort of is like it's a different hallway, now that I think of it, the way that the optional levels in this game work. Bear in mind that I actually have not beaten this game, but I do know what you're talking about. I have almost beaten this game. I kind of want to beat this game on stream for the first time, because I have never fought the final boss, and I've never gone to the area past the dancer. Like, that whole thing is new to me. And I kind of want my first reaction to that to be on stream, because why not? I play these games really weird. I like to linger in the opening areas and test new builds forever, and like play in co-op and PvP forever. sure that's not how most people play this game, but I don't know. It's fun. Chop, chop. Great swords. Great swords will always be my favorite weapon class. Forgot about you. Get out of here. So rude. Okay, so we're about to go through hell here, so I'll check on chat now. Holy shit, you missed a lot. Yeah, I'm sorry. It is hard to keep up sometimes. I never know that I just keep going to the bonfire. Rest in peace, Dark Souls 1 PvP. I know. It is kind of a shame that it's all just sort of gone. I never once brought out my torch in Dark Souls 3. Yeah, seriously. It's just not that obvious. I'm glad I'm not alone in that complaint. It seems like that pisses other people off. For some people, this is basically a boss game. Yeah, I totally understand that. I just find it boring to just rush, I guess. Well, in this game, the game is a pain in the butt. I want to be a mage who does not dodge, but they don't make the game like that. Yeah. I feel like you kind of have to dodge in this game, and I think that that's reasonable, but I do wish that the magic was more balanced. There's actually... Remind me of that later? Because we can check out some spells, and you can kind of see what some of the problem is. Because there's 2 spells. There's like... Actually, no, there's a couple of them. But since I'm not going to be able to demonstrate them on this character, there's spells where, you know, you have your sorcery staff, and you summon a magical sword, and it has like a wide area of effect, and it does magical damage. I guess I can't chillax, huh? Oh god, they vomit maggots. I don't even want to look at that. That was some unfortunate placement of that sword. But, basically, like, there's spells called, like, the Fair and Flash Sword, where you summon a fairly large sword. There's, like, also the Magic Great Sword and things like that, that, like, cover a wide area with a magical sword that's just one swing, and you can combo it with other sword attacks and other magic sword attacks. And stuff, like, you know, there's also, like, you know, a barrage of darts that that each do individual damage that kind of come out like a widespread shotgun blast and things like that. But you need to be, like, kind of well into the 20s in your intelligence in order to learn those spells. So you don't even really get to sample them unless you're already really invested in making a mage character. It's just one of the many examples of why the magic in this game is so clumsily handled. Because you can't really experiment. Okay. I don't know why you did that. So this is kind of a cool moment. I'm preemptively getting rid of some of these, but it's not going to matter that much. I like this. I like this a lot. You can't just run past, but it's a cool little moment. And you kind of see it coming, too, but I don't know. I always like when developers have just those little things that throw you off. It's like, because I remember the first time I thought I was being really clever by killing all the ones that were lying on the ground, and then that happens, and I'm like, well, so much for that plan. Man, this anime AI is way too advanced. Pardon me. These guys give, like, no souls. So, I just kind of want to knock them out of the way. But you're a... Why? I don't like the targeting system in this game. It's like, my screen is centered on her. I wish that there was a way to distinguish, like, who you want to focus on. So, she has an interesting moveset. I love the way she moves, because it's so, like, demented. You know, like, she's, like, just half dead. Like, her spine looks like it's disconnected. It's awesome. The Grave Wardens, they're very cool enemies. They're just fun to fight. They move around in a very unique way. They're very well animated. They're one of those enemies that moves in a really interesting way without throwing you off in an obnoxious way. Because, like, you remember the Harpies, I was kind of complaining about them because it's impossible to tell what the fuck they're doing, because their animation is just like... And, with them, you can tell what they're gonna do, but they still move in a very memorable, unique way. So, it's a nice balance between this looks cool and this is fair to fight against. Which this game mostly does a good job of. Just sometimes it's like, okay, I don't even know what I'm looking at, because it's too visually busy. Rusted coins. I wish that those were more readily available. I think that we can buy them from a certain someone who we may or may not kill. What does PvP even do? That's a good question. I hate the Covenants in this franchise. They're awful. I don't know, they want to balance it for players, to fight players. I just hate it when a game nerfs stuff to death for PvP. That is a good point, because I think that you can just give them different attributes when you're fighting against human players. If they're really that much of a problem. Because if something is overpowered in PvP, that doesn't mean it's overpowered in PvE, and vice versa. Like, Chaos Bed Vestiges are debatably overpowered in PvE, but not in PvP, because they're reasonably easy to dodge, or at least you can dodge the full brunt force of them. And for those who don't know, it's just a really big spell. It's like a huge version of the Fire Orb spell that I have now. That just covers a very wide area. Oh, what the hell is the term for this? Talismaned, I don't know. I can't use Estus when this happens, which is an interesting mechanic. That's why I decided to kind of get the fuck out. What the hell is this arrow doing? Just kind of like near my elbow. You hit the air near my elbow too hard, dude. We can also get a blessed weapon here soon. I don't have a blessed gem yet, do I? Yeah. There's a guaranteed blessed gem, and I'll talk about those. Lloyd Talisman? Yeah, I don't really know what to call that. I think they're called Undead Hunter Charms in this game, but no, they're forever Lloyd's Talisman. Hi. What? Alright. Made this easier. I was gonna snipe you awkwardly, but that's easier. Come on up. This game teaches you to be very paranoid very fast. Something else I like about this game is that you can clearly hear people breathing. Can I do this? Yes. That will just always be in the game, I guess. That kind of ability. But, you can always hear people breathing. And I think that that makes a big difference, because some enemies are just totally silent, but those tend not to be the ones that can creep up on you like that. Cool. We're almost out of feather arrows. So, this is basically a snipe weapon art. That's what this bow has. It just makes the bow do way more damage. Like this is the stance for it, and when you activate it, just like pew, it goes farther, it goes faster, and it does significantly more damage. So I just call it the snipe ability. I don't know what else. I don't know what it's actually called. I don't really need this right now. I'm just gonna get in the way. I love these guys. They have such a funny moveset, because they have these massive flamberges. And, you know, they're bigger than they are. I like the Thralls in general. They're a very cool enemy. Another case of an enemy that moves in a very interesting way while still being fair and not being visually confusing. Because, again, some enemy... I just want, I feel like last time I complained too much about certain enemy design, so I just want to make it clear that, 90% of the enemies are incredibly fair and well-designed and interesting in this game. It's just that 10% really stick out because the rest of it is so well-made. So I like this moment, too, because you really gotta rush down there and start eliminating threats. Oh, I can one-shot them. That's handy. Riposte. Saucy. What's the full armor you're wearing? I am wearing totally mismatched armor. I don't think I have a single part of the same set. Got the Exile leggings, the Dark Gauntlets, the Undead Legion armor, and the Sorcerer hood. Fashion Souls. Yeah, not really. The hood goes well. The pants are okay. I don't like these gauntlets, but I don't really have any good gauntlets at all. Yeah, I really do like this. It's unfortunate that we can't really demonstrate this without activating the trap, but this animation of him kind of clinging to the wall would look really awkward if you could see him from the other side, because he's part of his body is just floating in the air in a really weird way. But I like the way that it's designed this way, because it lets you know there is an ambush, but if you look behind him on that wall, you can see the strand of the hat, the thrall hood, on the other side of the wall. So there is another one, and that one is a lot harder to notice. I remember the first time I noticed the first one, but not the second one. So you could just kind of do that, but you still pretty much have to deal with this guy. Yeah. Can you tell that we're a little over-leveled here? That's a weird thing. If you do the Abyss Watchers first, you will be crazy prepared for this place. Nice. Love those large arrows. Yeah, the one big downside of the snipe weapon art really drains your stamina. Whoop. So anticlimactic. This lady will always see me, so... Oops. Oh, I have nothing. Hi! This is not a good place to fight you. Oh my god, this is really not a good... Okay, there we go. I like how the game just sometimes uses the environment to increase the difficulty curve. Because, we've been fighting these ladies for quite a while, but they're always in an open area when you fight them. But now, sometimes you get them in very claustrophobic places. So you have to be very careful with how you approach them. And I like that, because it lets them introduce new challenges without having to design a totally new enemy. Now this part, I have some mixed feelings on, because there's a lot of ambushes that aren't super telegraphed. But, we'll look around. I could be wrong, but I don't think that they are. I think that they're pretty impossible to detect. Let's look around really carefully, way more carefully than anyone would. That might be a person? No. Because there's a lot of weird ambushes in this area. Nothing. You can hear a bunch of the voices. You probably can't, because it's very faint. Which is another thing. Yeah, you can kind of see the problem. I just don't find that particularly fair. because there's not much you can do about it. You might be able to jump and get them jumping them up there. That's the only thing I can really think of, though. Oh! MVP. MVP. That was a round-winning kill. They look so awkward up there. He can't see me. Man. I killed that guy so hard, I killed his physics with him. Soul of a nameless soldier. Snip. Bows are very underrated in this game. In this whole franchise, really. There's nothing up here, by the way. I really want to test to see if you can jump up to that thing and then, like, kind of dive down from above. But the thing is, doing so is one hell of a risky move. Because, the hit detection for jumping is very awkward in this series, so I don't really want to risk trying to jump up on that thing down there. Because there is a place where it kind of looks like you can. And then you might be able to do that to come up here and then drop down and sneak up on the enemies that would otherwise sneak up on you. What the hell is this shit? Whoa. What? Huh? Eh? Okay, whatever. I don't know. Let me just point at what I mean. Yeah, this. I'm not going to test this right now, because I could die very easily. I also think it's worth noting that it's not... I don't know. This is one of those things where it's like, does the developer want me to jump on this? Because there are some things like that in the series where it's just like, no. Why would you ever try to jump on that dumbass? I don't know. It's hard to design things like that sometimes. And make it clear without making it obvious. Whoa. See that bleed build up there? It's not that bad, though. You don't really have to worry about enemies bleeding you that often, aside from the maggot spewers. Damn. Yeah, that weapon art. They do use the weapon arts, which is pretty cool. Tasty. Hello, friends. Good moves. I never get tired of those guys. I've done it before, but do not risk it. That jump, yeah, okay. Yeah, usually it's more obvious when it's intended, I guess is the best way to put it, with those jumps. They can be very awkward. Give me that. Oh! Let me guess. What?
Hi, I've come to get you killed by a phantom again.
I believe you mean Dark
I'm sorry.
Wraith?
Dark Spirit.
Dark Spirit?
Dark Spirit, Dark Wraith, whatever. Dark Wreath, Christmas Wreath.
Okay, what, can you, like, stop, like, cooking kettle corn? That's really what it sounds like.
Yeah.
What do you want? I'm doing a hardcore analytical video game stream. What do you want?
Well. What the fuck is this? Well, no, I'm in my. I was just calling you to see how you were doing, and just give me 1 second. I'm
Pretty
buying
good.
time. Okay. No. So,
I cleaved the top of my head on my trunk door today, but that's about it.
okay. So here's the deal. Deal is, I'm at this work party for Christmas.
Yeah, are you bored?
Absolutely.
Then watch my stream and stop interrupting it.
Well, I'm using.
Look at the sky with his little fucking fingers hanging off the edge, and then he like clips through the
know.
environment. Oh wait,
I'm
no,
on
he
my
did.
phone to make it look like I'm busy right now, so I figured I'd call you since you're really the only person I can call on a whim and just have that work.
Corey,
Yes.
speaking of work. Like,
They need a nice little break.
oh my god.
You know, you're getting all serious and talking about like game statistics and whatever it is that you do for a living,
This is
while the rest of us work a real job.
oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, that
Fucking come in here insulting me, insulting my stream, insulting my family, insulting my heritage.
I didn't say anything about your family. You have a very nice
It
family.
was implicit.
You're the
It was
problem. There's nothing wrong with your family. You're the problem. Anyway. No, I just... Yeah.
Everyone, this is my best friend, Corey.
Oh, I guess I didn't introduce myself. I apologize.
He's also known as Modest Narcissist. Some of you probably don't know him because I think that some of you are new.
Well, no,
He's an asshole.
also leaving.
He's also leaving.
No, yeah, my name's Corey, also known as Modest Narcissus.
Okay, you're about to fucking plug yourself again. Watch his streams on watch his streams on Sunday at 8. Okay, bye, Corey. You know what that reminds me? Oh my god, fuck these slimes. Oh, fuck whatever I was gonna talk about before. We're talking about these guys. They're chores. Like, look, if you have this, then whatever. But just, if you don't have a fire thing... like, you shouldn't have to bring a fire thing just to deal with one enemy. I'll demonstrate how annoying they can be later. Because they do some obnoxious shit with them later. That I don't think is a particularly good thing, design-wise. That's actually pretty much the last thing we have to do in this area, so that'll be a bit later, but it does exist. Also, here's a good habit to get into. Push target every now and then. I like this guy because he actually won't drop down on you immediately. If you go down and then come back out, he will drop down on you, but we'll deal with that later, because right now we gotta open up the shortcut. I love Corey. They're some of the most pathetic enemies to avoid. Yeah, and like there's only one circumstance in which you have to kill them. They're like the slugs. I think that they're worse than the slugs, honestly, in the swamp, which is another one of my least favorite enemies. Like, some enemies are, like, there's like two kinds of bad enemies in Dark Souls. There's the ineffectual, annoying ones. That's the deep, by the way. You'd think it would be a little bit bigger, but it's actually just deep. It's not wide. It's implied that it's made with a lot of human fluids. It's gross. But, there's a lot of implications with that, actually. But, to finish that first thought, there's two kinds of annoying enemies in Dark Souls. There's the ones that are like ineffectual, annoying mosquitoes that are just kind of there to be a chore or to be ignored until they can't. Like the literal mosquito enemies in Dark Souls 1, that's a good example because they will follow you for the whole level and just annoy you because they don't do a lot of damage. They're just kind of inconsequential. They're like Zubats, basically. They're just an annoying chore that you have to deal with sometimes. That's kind of what those slugs are. And the other kind of annoying enemy is an enemy that kind of just does something that feels a bit unfair. Whether it's something that you always have to worry about, no matter how good you get at the game, or something that's just kind of a newbie trap that doesn't feel fair or telegraphed in a good way. Those are kind of the two bad enemy types in Dark Souls. Hear the deep. It's not very big. It's deep. It's the deep, not the wide. Exactly. Yeah, we'll just fucking kill you. It is very satisfying to kill those things in one hit. Look at the souls. Look at the souls you get. Can you imagine, like, taking the time to kill those things, then getting 22 souls? I think you only get 20, actually, if you kill them normally. That was just the overkill bonus. What rings do I have? What rings I got, bitch? I'm pretty solid. That's all I need for now, really. I don't do much fancy stuff with my rings when I'm doing a normal build. Hello. I'd like to get a look at... This is really hard to pull off. Damn! So, I wanted to kind of zoom in on her face. Because she's actually mumbling something to herself. But it's not audible, like she's just kind of mouthing it. And I would have liked to demonstrate that, but maybe I need like one of the stealth spells or something. But this is the deep that she's gazing out into. This is the Cathedral of the Deep. They have a deep gem here. Everything's pretty fucking deep, dude. You know me. But I love the implications of this. The deep is just sort of this abyssal pool that just possibly goes on forever. And it's heavily implied to have been mixed with human entrails and body fluids. And if we look at another item, this little number, the human pine resin. All the pine resins grant an elemental power of some kind. And they're like mixed with sawdust and stuff. That's why they're called like the pine resin. And you spread that on your weapon and they grant an elemental attack. Charcoal pine resin rotted with human body fluids. Temporarily applies dark to right-hand weapon. Normally used in the undead settlement for preservation and burials, but can mature into this state, becoming a valuable substance used in a certain ceremony, often seen for trade at exorbitant prices. So there's a lot of interesting implications about this. This is one of my favorite item descriptions in the game. And a big reason for that is just the fact that at the core of a human being is the power of darkness. I like that a lot, because dark is so many different things in the universe of Dark Souls, obviously, as the name implies. You know, like, there's always been a conflict between dark and fire, and the fact that there is dark at the core of humanity, I think, has a lot of interesting implications. But I don't think I need to rave about how cool it is the way that Dark Souls tells its story. But that's one of the cooler bits, because it implies something very twisted about the nature of humanity in this world, and how they are tending towards darkness more than tending towards light or fire, and how the Age of Fire might not be a natural state of existence for mankind. Which just has so many interesting implications, because you can start an Age of Dark as one of the optional endings in Dark Souls 1. There are two main endings in Dark Souls 1. The Age of Fire and the Age of Dark. It's always presumed that we prolong the Age of Fire in terms of the canon story, because we're trying to preserve the Age of Fire now, basically. As we were in Dark Souls 2. But I always found the concept of an Age of Dark, something totally different than an Age of Fire, to be really interesting. And maybe they'll do something with it, but this is implied to be the last Dark Souls, at least for a long time, so who knows. But it always was interesting. Crawling in my skin, I know. Dark isn't necessarily bad. Yeah, exactly, that's the thing. Dark can just be potential. It can be the unknown, which is very appropriate for this series, because fire, the Age of Fire is what's known. It's reality as every character knows it. Dark is kind of the alternative, and it can be very scary and otherworldly, but we don't know enough about it to call it evil necessarily, which is very cool. It's a thought-provoking little thing. Dark could also mean nothingness, yeah. It could just be void, for all we know. But it is hard to determine exactly what it means. Probably goes until the abyss. Very possible. Yeah, it was already implied, the dark stuff. It's very cool stuff. I love that. I just love the storytelling in these games. Ghosts in Dark Souls 1 are newbie traps. Yeah, that's a good example. They're not that bad to deal with, but man, they are the epitome of a newbie trap. They are the embodiment of that concept. How the hell do I want to deal with this guy? In terms of analyzing him. Because here's like a funny real story for you. I always just go to town on this motherfucker. Like, the first time I saw him, I didn't even run through. So, here's what you're supposed to do the first time. You come out here, and then all of a sudden, oh! Very cool moment. Oh! Tried to roll. Didn't quite do it. So you're supposed to run through. Try to desperately roll away. Oh, shit! Was not expecting that to bounce off. That was a thrust. That should not have bounced off anything. So yeah. I don't like doing that. But that's kind of what you're expected to do. So instead... you can just go to town on him. Which is pretty much what I always do. Gotta remove these bunions. He is pretty tough, though. Because, he's one of those enemies that does, like, shockwave attacks. That kind of cover a wide area around his feet when he stomps down. If you stay behind his ankles, you'll generally be fairly safe-ish. This is one of my favorite aspects of the Souls series, though. Also, fucking Stone Parma, man. That was ridiculous that I just blocked that. Just standing there like that. But we do have to fight a Phantom. Now Corey's got me doing it. A Wraith soon. So... we'll be able to get some Estus back, which will be handy. Later. But that's one of my favorite aspects of the Souls series, the fact that you can just dive in and fight shit like that. There we go, that makes our life a little bit easier. Try to remember that he dropped something, because I will be going up there. So, we get our lovely prize. We dig through some poop and find a large Titanite shard. How charming. Also, I thought that this was poop. For the longest time. Turns out, it's actually something worse. I don't even know how to explain this concept, really. Because it's a lot easier once we talk about Aldrich. But this is where Aldrich, one of the five, I should say, Lords of Cinder is. Because we don't have to fight every Lord of Cinder. There's one that's already on our side, effectively. But, he eats so many humans, and eventually, after eating so many humans, his body started to decay into sludge. So either this is decomposed human flesh, or this is the remnants of Aldrich's sludge. Isn't that lovely? Suddenly, I wish it were poop. Because that's even worse. At least that's how I interpret it. It's Aldrich toilet? I guess that's also possible. Whatever it is, it's gross. Dude, it's canon? That's gross. That's all we know about the canon. It's gross. Yeah, like Aldrich. I think that Aldrich left some of the sludge behind. Is the thing. Also, fuck this room. Literally, you come down here, you get one weapon, walk all that way, you open 2 doors, do all that animation, come down here, and it's just like, here's some homeward bones. That's all that we put down here. Thanks for coming. Now go the fuck home. Here's some homeward bones. I don't know, I hate that shit. Is this part of the level that we can go to? It's hard for me to determine what that area is down there. Because it kind of looks like that trail that we followed. But it might not be. Nah, I don't think it is. I think it's just background detail. Love these visuals. Dark Souls is my aesthetic, baby. Soylent Green 2.0. It's also not quite the same color. Yeah, we'll have to take a good look at Aldrich when we see him. Just quite a ways away, because he is not here. It's kind of built up to imply that he is here, but he was here. He's not here anymore. But I do love the Cathedral of the Deep. Very cool level. This main room is just so impressive to me. It's very, very interesting. It's multifaceted. There's just a lot going on. Very cool stuff. And this is a bit of an abstract thought and might not be accurate. But I like to visualize in my head that Aldrich at one point was so massive that they needed this huge of a hallway to contain him. And I don't know if there's much to imply that, but it's just a visual in my head that makes a lot of sense, lore-wise, and is also very imposing and just suits the vibe that that character is going for. But again, I don't necessarily think that that's what they're implying with this size. This could just be like, you know, they needed that much room for people to worship. They needed that much place to dump all this sludge, stuff like that. Because, like, you know, there's a podium up there, and it's implied that someone would go up there and preach. Possibly Aldrich himself, because it is still pretty large. I don't like how they're not affected by the sludge. Like, they don't move any slower. Ooh, God. What a terrible way to die. Just poking out there like a little shark. But, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of interesting implications just on the architecture here. Like, you can kind of fill in the blanks about what this place was used for before things totally went to shit. Let's take a look around. Because there's a lot of bad boys around here. These guys, this just does poison. It's not that big a deal, though. We might get invaded soon. I don't know much to say about Kirk, though. He's not really that interesting. He can damage you when he rolls, and he's like all about dealing bleed damage, basically. Like, that's his gimmick. But he just doesn't have a lot going on. He has an interesting armor set. We might have to... No, we're good. Yeah, you can see, like, he did a little bit of damage with the roll. Yeah, yeah, it's not really anything worth writing home about. It's just sort of something that makes you nervous, but it's not gonna kill you, you know? And I kind of understand why they had to make it that way, because if they made that do a lot of damage, then he would be a very frustrating fight. Combine that with the fact that you can actually get that equipment later, and make that item pretty overpowered. So, you know, I kind of understand. But, still, it would be cool if that was actually useful, you know? Because it's not as it is. I'll wash myself with a rag on a stick. I really do picture that, you know? Like, I picture him like that. Like, because he's not that massive when you meet him in-game. But I'd like to imagine that maybe at one point he was. And, you know, that's not necessarily true. But again, it's just... I like that visual in my head. Up there is a heavy crossbow. Yeah. Ugh. I don't have a lot of use for that kind of stuff though. But yeah, the guy who uses that heavy crossbow. Ugh. I hate that shit. I have some interesting stuff to say about the rafters, which we will be going up to later. By the way, overall, I have to say this is possibly my favorite area in the game. A lot of people were giving me crap. Like, people were making fun of me yesterday with Yannick. Saying that the Undead Settlement is my favorite because we replayed it 3 times on stream total. In addition to me and Yannick just playing on it otherwise. And he's fucking sick of it, and I'm sorry about that for him. But, I do like that level, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite. This might be my favorite. The enemy variety, the enemy placement, the atmosphere, the sheer size and scope of the environment, the giants, just all the twists and turns, the fact that like the level is so complex and has so much going on, and introduces, again, a really wide variety of enemies that are all very different. Ow. Such as that. You know, like there's ambushes, there's groups like this that patrol, there's status effects, there's like a... I hate the fact that Corey has me calling them phantoms now. There's a dark spirit that invades. Like, I don't know, there's just a lot going on. The environment itself is very interesting. There's a lot of interesting lore. And this is very elegant. I like this. I wish that the game had more of this. Because when we open this door, you have that nice little feeling that Dark Souls 1 gave you all the time, where it's like, hey, where the hell am I? Oh, I'm right back here. It just makes you feel all the more grounded, and it's a very nice little moment of like, yeah, I'm making progress, I'm opening up shortcuts, I'm learning the level. I'm not just walking down a hallway. Which this game, you know, it pulls off that feeling sometimes, but just nothing does it as well as Dark Souls 1. I used to not care so much about that kind of design, but now, going back and playing Dark Souls 1 again, I really do appreciate the design of the early game, looping in on itself like that, because it makes it feel so much more organic, and it enables speedrunning tactics, and it's a big part of why... Like, that design is a big part of why, in Dark Souls 1, you can fight, like, 7 bosses as your second boss. Seriously, I think that's how many it is. Because you only have to beat the Asylum Demon to get out of the tutorial area, which takes less than 10 minutes. So starting a new playthrough in Dark Souls 1, you don't have to do a lot of repetitive stuff. But because this game is so linear, you have to do, like, I guess 3 full areas, and they're fairly large. Like, even with speedrun tactics, like, it's gonna take you an hour and a half just to start doing new things with a character sometimes, but... I don't know. That's, like, my one... Out of all my gripes with this game, that's the only one that I think is really huge. You know what I mean? Like, that really disheartens me when I start new characters. Pretty sure the Age of Dragons is quite different. Yeah, the age before Fire. And yeah, they are eternal. They're kind of undying, but now they are dying. You see all the dragon corpses lying around, which again I think implies a totally new level of world ending in Dark Souls 3. Like the world is really ending now. But I think that the dragons decaying is a really good indication of that. A nice little and they put the dead dragons at the beginning of the game. So that's a good warning about what you're getting into. If it was a normal AAA game, it would be a small hallway. Yeah, yeah. Besides this and Hitman, I haven't been excited about AAA games. That's why I raved about Hitman so much, because it's like, whoa, a AAA game that isn't Dark Souls that I fucking love. Let's spend some of these souls, because we have a lot. And also, I'm not shy about leveling up this character, because I'm not super invested in co-op on this playthrough. I'm gonna need to get some water in a sec. Ooh. And the game's model, the full town that are only seen. Yeah, yeah. But in the Age of Dragons, you had humanoid creatures as well. You just didn't have much power outside the dragons. Yeah, yeah. Because you had to worship the dragons, basically. Right. Good night, peeps. Happy holidays. Thanks for coming by, Marcus. Appreciate it. Yeah. Dragons don't use dark magic. Yeah. It's definitely implied to have something in particular to do with humans, I think. Because let's think about what uses dark. Got the dark wraiths with the dark hand. Do any demons use dark magic? I'm trying to think of what uses dark besides human spellcasters and pyromancers. I feel like there must be something else. Oh, this is me selling things. I think we might be able to stop by the birds. I can use this. Thank you for the bits. Appreciate it for it, as always. Oh, it's a little Christmas tree. I need to get a mini Christmas tree. I'm actually going to do that tomorrow. Oh, right, ammo. That's a main thing. I want to stock up on large and feather arrows because they're like my primaries. And get some fire because they're very useful in certain situations. Fuck bolts. No one uses crossbows. I don't know why Miyazaki hates crossbows. I love crossbows. I wish that they were useful in this game. Oh, right. Estus. All the Dark Souls chores. Prithee be careful. Hurry, 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 hurry. I be a blacksmith. I'm Torbjorn. Ready to work. Ready to work. Let's see. Nah. Wait a minute. Okay, no. We gotta do the Karthus stuff, but I don't want to dive in there yet. We gotta do the cathedral. Oh, perfect. See? This is what I mean. I was talking about this before. Look at the requirements for some of these spells. Like, this is reasonable, but the thing is, like, these are just reskins of previous spells. You know? Like, they're just more powerful versions of the same two spells that you can start with. Like, there's there's Soul Arrow, then Great Soul Arrow. Mechanically, they're the same spell that just do, like, different damage. Meanwhile, like, all the spells that have different hitboxes and projectiles and effects, they cost more. You know? And I find that to be pretty bullshit. Like, Great Farron Dart being that expensive is kind of ridiculous. I mean, like, not expensive, but the requirement, the intelligence, you know, that's ridiculous. The Farron Hail, Like, you want to experiment with, like, Soul Greatsword and, like, Farron Flash Sword, because they're really interesting ideas for spells. But you already have to be committed to an intelligence build in order to mess around with that stuff, you know? But it's not ideal. I don't know why they made magic the way they did in this game. Because I was playing Dark Souls 1, and man, they did magic so much better. It was really good, it was really powerful. Like, it was possibly a little bit too strong, but they didn't need to nerf it and make it boring. That's a big thing, they made it boring. They didn't just nerf it, they made it dull. It's kind of a good alternative. But let's get some feather arrows. Bunch of feather arrows. Yeah, I guess that's all that I really want to do right now. How many of these do I have? Can we level up? Damn, the requirements are getting pretty high. Yeah. I'm at that point where the main things are vigor and possibly endurance. You can still aim, yeah, you can still aim the crossbows at least. Aiming in Dark Souls 1 was so bullshit. It's still annoying that you can't aim spells. I don't see what the point is of that. Ugh. Walmer uses dark, but he was... He's not using it. He actually uses miracles. Demons use chaos. Yeah, that's... Well, yeah, but that's an extension of the primordial fire. Does anyone else use it? Yeah, Drake's... Yeah... The Everlasting Dragons are different. Yeah. But we don't... I don't think we ever actually fight one. Yeah, the closest thing we fight is Seath the Scaleless, who is basically a... I don't know if this is... I don't know. I don't mean anything bad by this, but for all intents and purposes, Seath is basically a everlasting dragon with a birth defect that made him sort of mortal. As in, he could be killed much more easily. But he was still very powerful, very wise, and probably would never die of something like old age. But Seath is a very weird concept in general. Undead Settlement is huge, what makes it a pain on a repeat playthrough. Absolutely. That's kind of the problem with it. It's a shame, too, because it is one of the best designed levels, otherwise, that Miyazaki's ever made. So Nito's stuff is still miracles. That was the only one I was thinking of that uses dark stuff. So, what's the verdict? Is dark magic exclusive to humans and lords? Is that how it works? Dragons... The dragons also had that crystal that made them double immortal for some reason. They don't even need it. Well, Seath had that. Did other dragons have that? Seath had that to make up for his lack of natural immortality, I believe.
Gaining admission to the Legion is a matter of some ceremony.
He has Undead Legion armor. I'm confused about that.
Even accursed undead want to believe they're special, it seems.
Poor baby.
You oft the Lords of Cinder.
I do want to see what he says.
So that's how they're delivered to their thrones. I pity the sorry souls. Is that rude lordship's last reward? I failed to thank you for helping them find their friends.
Yeah, you have a connection to them. Oh! I've never gotten that. Or if I did, I don't recall. That's actually really good for this character. Because I use the sniping skill a lot. Sure. I'll take that shit. Oh, let's read it. I really don't recall ever getting this. A ring given to the Undead Legion of Farron reduces skill FP consumption. The Abyss Watchers, for their hunting, required a sword technique that went beyond any existing art. Wolf's Blood provided just that, and this ring further extends the effect. Cool. I'm sure it doesn't make like a super profound difference, but you know. Should we go kill that Dark Wraith? Sort of a little side quest. Might as well get it over with. The Dark Sign as a whole, the Abyss as a whole, Olasile as a whole, the Deep as a whole. Yeah. Kind of point towards the direction that dark magic brings nothingness. Or void. Or it's traveling towards the core of something. Could be the core of the world itself, could be the core of humanity, could be the core of all living beings. Because in a big theme in a lot of Dark Souls games is that you're very frequently going deeper. Further and further down. You know what I mean? That was a theme in both Dark Souls 1 and 3, which are the Miyazaki games. So I feel like that's probably not a coincidence. That progressively over the course of the game's semi-intended linear order, you are typically going down and down and down and down and down. Although admittedly, Dark Souls 3 kind of plays with that. Because, seems like the last areas of Dark Souls 3 involve going up. But, I haven't gotten to the end yet. Oh, Seath apparently stole it from the other dragons. Interesting. Never finished Hawkwood's quest? I don't think so. Kind of comes from the Western myths, which sometimes have heaven literally up and hell literally down. Yeah, I think that is a pretty accurate comparison as well. And when you go up, you'll find everything there is. In Dark Souls 1, at least, yeah. I don't know if that's true in this game yet, because I'm not as familiar with it. Let's go kill a Dark Wraith while we're talking about darkness. Because otherwise I'll never remember. Get us the Red Eye Orb. I might invade at some point with this character. I don't really like invading. It feels like I'm just being a school bully. Oh, man. Not a fan of invasions, but I've pretty much said everything I have to say about invasions. I'm pretty much done. I actually might play offline on this character from now on, just because I don't really think I have much else to do online. I might try co-op again today, because it is fun. And I believe I'm a Sunbro. And we are about to find Rosaria, so this is actually pretty good timing for the Dark Wraith. Because maybe we'll actually... Whoa! Calm down there, buddy. Fucking rude. Wow, kid. Get good. Fucking scrub. Okay, let's go kill this bitch. Try hole. I've been trying since college. Wall of Lothric has amazing level design. I agree. It's phenomenal level design. I just wish you didn't always have to play through it on every new character. It's a great level. There like are, besides the swamp, I would argue that there are no really like every level in this game is just amazing. I can't wait until we get to Irithyll and the dungeon. Irithyll Dungeon is quickly becoming one of my favorite levels in the series. I used to hate it because it's very daunting at first, but that's kind of what I like about it now. I've already talked about how the Dark Wraiths are kind of cheap in combat sometimes, so it's best to cheese them. Because they do not flinch. Look at all that stamina depletion. You see how they don't flinch? I want to get my shield hit by him. Okay, that's not as bad. But, like, with some of his attacks, even with a stone parma, he does Ooh, don't kick. Because then he'll riposte me. Just use, like, a big sword swing. I just want to demonstrate that. Because it went by too fast. Yeah. I don't know, he just drains a lot of stamina. But, overall, not that brutal. Can just be a bit overwhelming. And when you fight two at once, it's like, ugh. Thankfully, you don't normally have to. That's kind of the thing, like, as you get used to enemies, like, pretty much, like, most enemies do get easier, no matter what. Like, almost, there's barely any enemies in this game that are, so, like, in this whole series, that are so unfair that even if you practice against them, you can't get better. Like, I struggle to think of many examples of enemies that are that badly designed. Because it's Dark Souls, most of the enemies are really well designed. But those guys, I just think that they're a little bit too cheap when you first fight them. Because they, you know, they never flinch. They have crazy moveset, really wide, like, attack arcs. They cover so much range around them. I don't know. I find that to be a little unfair. Latria 1 does the stuck in a prison concept better. I really really wanna play Demon's Souls. I didn't run this by you guys yet, but for my first playthrough of Demon's Souls, because I've never played it, I actually do want to stream it, and I want to do it blind, because I don't know most of that game. You know, I know some of it. I listened to Matthew Matos's video on it, but I didn't look at any of the footage. And, you know, so I don't, like, know everything at all. So I think that would be a lot of fun, just me diving into that game. But, first I need to set everything up correctly, so that I can stream from console. Which is just a bit of an obstacle right now. I can do it, it's just, I can't do it very well, and I wanna do this right. So I'd have to move a lot of things around in my room first. Because just my TVs and my consoles are in a very awkward position in relation to my computer. So I'd have to work on that. And I think that this takes us to the rafters. Which I love. Hold on, let me do a stretch real quick. Oh wait, no, I have to kill somebody first. Hi. Oh, stretch time, boys. Stretch hype. Everybody, get up and stretch. Come on. Do some aerobics. And while I'm up, I'm going to grab some water. I will be right back. Phil's getting to me a bit. Just one sec. I hope that like 20 people showed up during that 1 second I was gone. Or just like, wow, nice silent kneeling stream. What, is he proposing to the audience? Maybe I am. Have you ever thought about that? You're all lovely people. Thank you again to the everybody just here. It's always fun. Oh, thank you. Aerobic stream. Thank you for it. Thank you for the healthy, stretchy bits. I think the scales were the immortality gimmick for the dragons. The crystal could grant Seath immortality, and he went insane trying to do that, yeah. Well, yeah, like, all of his stuff is just basically the magical equivalent of mad science. When I stream Dark Souls 1, I'm gonna love talking about the Duke's Archives. Love that level. Favorite late game level. I don't think I'm surprising anyone when I say that, because the only other ones are, like, the various demon ruins. I guess New Londo counts. New Londo's pretty cool. New Londo's okay. A lot of cool implications there. But I like the Duke's Archives a lot, because it makes you play the game in a slightly different way than usual. Because of its level design and the fact that most enemies have magic attacks. Stone Parma. Stone Parma. Can I get you? Yeah. Should have let that guy come out a little bit. Oh. Hi. There you go. Sit down. Dark Souls does a good job of creating organic boundaries, you know? A lot of other games, like, they would just put invisible walls and shit in places like this. Because eventually, the game does have to stop. You know what I mean? But they do a good job of making that feel logical. I love the way they move. I just love the thralls. They're so interesting. You can tell they must have been a bitch to animate, because they're very fluid in their movements. Oh, damn. Ooh, ooh, you did a lot more damage than I thought. I was kind of fighting the camera more than the enemy there. I was not expecting that much damage. I gotta stop just relying on the shield, because enemies do have those kicks and guard breaks, which I like. Makes things a lot more interesting. And this place is pointless, I forgot. Be wary of pointless. Nah. I'll let everyone else suffer. Hi. Get out of here. It's me, ya Pyro Boy. Do I have a plus? No, I only have a +1. I gotta upgrade that. Now, this is not pointless. I believe that this is the... Yeah, that's one of the better crossbows, but it's ludicrously heavy. And also, it's still a crossbow, so it's still not that good. The one thing with crossbows is that it's like a nice little one-handed projectile. There's not a lot of those. So, it's something. It's not much, but it's something. Pale Tongue. I believe I have a couple of those now. Well, 2. I might pursue some Covenant stuff, but I'd have pretty much nothing positive to say about any of the Covenants in this game. They're all handled really poorly. I think that Dark Souls 1 handled Covenants the best, which is saying something, because they're still bad in that game. Man. I guess Dark Souls 2 handled them pretty well. That is one of the only things that I think they did well in that game. Again, I just love the way they move like that. It's so cool. So, this area is really funny to me. For a couple of reasons, but I guess the main thing is... hold on, I gotta get at a better angle. So I think it kind of makes sense that there's, like, these little mischievous guys hanging up here, right? Because they crawl all over the ceiling. It kind of makes sense. So that's not that weird. Let's see if I can snipe. Yeah, I like that ring that makes you able to do that more. So, what the fuck are these guys doing? See these fully armored knights just hanging out in the rafters? Ow. This could be a bad situation, but we're gonna one-shot this guy. There we go. So, you see these guys just kind of hanging out in the rafters, fully armored. What the fuck are they doing? It's one of those weird, like, game design moments of just, like, if this wasn't a video game, you would not be up here. And it's weird because Dark Souls in general does a pretty good job of avoiding that feeling, at least explicitly. But this one really stands out to me. It's not even that much of a gripe, it just stands out as being a little silly. Ugh, I hate the whiffed backstabs because they leave you wide open and it's no fault of your own. Like, there's no reason I just took all that damage. Like, that has really nothing to do with me as a player. It's just because of that one whiffed backstab, which is very obnoxious. I don't know. It's kind of annoying when that happens. It's like, if you're gonna do the animation, do the backstab, because you can't break out of that attack once you start it. And it's just a bad attack. But, yeah, fuck, I guess I'll top off. I'm really annoyed by that. Like, this kind of threw a wrench into a lot of my plans here. I was not supposed to take that kind of damage, or any damage. So this guy's very awkward. But I do kind of have to get rid of him. Yeah, he's gonna chase us. Yeah. Okay, camera. Thanks. The rolls. Ugh. Do not die. I think I'm just gonna stop going for backstabs against them. Because it's apparently not gonna work. So this guy can knock you off with his arbalists. But, I ain't dealing with that shit. I don't need to demonstrate that. I said it, and that's more than enough. Okay. I didn't even know we could do that. We're going for the bonfire. So... all of y'all need to go. Let's see here. It is very important to protect the rafters. I know, right? Yo, more to kill. You got a lot to say. I appreciate that, though. This level is really well made. It is very fun. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's very well done. It's... man, this truly is, like, the epitome of the Let's Play curse, though, because it's just like, I can't fucking talk about this game while playing this particular part of it, because I always have trouble with the rafters, dude. I'm gonna run for the bonfire. Fuck y'all. Thanks, iframes. I'll deal with y'all in a second. I was not planning on taking any damage, so I don't want to take any chances, because it's one hell of a walk. Oh my god, I have a lot to say. I don't really have a lot to say about Rosaria, I just have kind of a funny story with her. I remember when I first came in to this place, and I just see this lovely image. God, that thing. Ugh. Ugh. It just looks so broken and wrong, that's this creature. Like, it looks like it's just in pain by existing. Which it might be. I don't know that much about Rosaria, by the way. So, if anyone wants to fill me in on what the fuck her story is, feel free. I know that she raises these maggots like her own little babies. And that the fingers work for her. But, no, I don't know much else beyond that. I know that she's a rebirth person. Like, I was gonna say deity, but it's like, I don't know. She might not be. So. Give me those fingers. We're not actually gonna do anything with her yet, though. So, when I first came in, I saw her and I was just like, Rosaria's fingers, that's the Kirk Covenant, and the Hazel Covenant. Fuck you. Fuck you. And then I killed her, and then nothing happened. And I was really disappointed. And I'm still kind of disappointed that nothing happens. You can still... Okay, you know what? That is fucking stupid. How stupid is that? And just to add insult to injury. Okay, well, first of all, you rest at a bonfire, right? And she doesn't come back. So, she's just kind of dead. And you can still pray to her. You can do all the things that she allows you to do. Then you save, you quit, you get out, and you go back in, and she will be alive again. I hate that. I don't know if this bothers anyone else, but I just hate the fact that killing her has no consequence. I mean, it's like, I get it, like, yeah, like, oh, she does the rebirth thing. Like, yeah, okay. Why doesn't she hate me? Like, I don't know. Like, if she was just reborn, then whatever. A lot of things get reborn in Dark Souls, and she's the mother of rebirth, I get it, but... Why doesn't she give a shit? Oh! No, she's still dead. I think that she comes back eventually, though. Maybe it takes a while. But I know that she does come back. But, might have to leave and come back or something. I don't know how that works. Hello. Gross maggot babies. I do like these enemies. They're very disturbing. It looks like it hurts to be them. I died. Pardon me. Ugh. Ugh. I don't think I even noticed the meat walls. Oh, look at this. What a nice little festive Christmas decoration thing we got going here. The nice warm reds. Very soothing imagery. Very soothing. Very soothing. Hi, Pillow Slitter. Always good to see you. Everybody talking about dialogue and stuff. You can revive her if you complete her quest. Okay. I don't know, man. I don't like her in general. I also think it's really ridiculous how you can just join her covenant despite the fact that she sent people out to actively kill you. Like, I don't know, that's... I don't like it. It's just like, why would the in-game character want to join this bitch? Visions of good fellow. Well, sort of. Time for tongue. Betrayal required ahead. He drops the red sign soapstone. He's a glorified treasure chest. I like how he just kind of chills. He ain't bother nobody. Thank you. I just remembered that there was a guy who dropped a soul, but whatever. That was a long time ago. There was no... Whoa, hi! Get out of here. Oy. Ugh. Get. Oh my god. Get. I think I just fucked up patches. But whatever. I feel like I always fuck up patches. I never do the patches thing right. To trigger the right cutscene. It's like, there's no way he's gonna be here. Yeah, of course not. I think that, like, if you know what's on the other side, then patches, like, just won't show up here. And you have to trigger him the other way. Oh well. But, yeah, we're, like, more than halfway through the cathedral. I know I've been taking my time, but that's the nature of these streams. Slowly analyzing. You doing good? Oh, you're doing a drawing for Max's Discord? Awesome. We are but maggots, writhing in the filth of our own corruption. Best voice actor in the Elder Scrolls series. Just saying. My throat gets sore just thinking about him. That's how you know. That's talent. How am I doing on everything? Good. You okay, buddy? I guess not. I have a lot to say about that area, but we're doing that last. We have a lot to explore. Okay, now let's awkwardly do this. Yeah. Okay, good. I almost fell. That would have been bad. Sort of an awkward one-way elevator. It also serves other purposes, but none of them are super important. Come down and fight me. Scary boys. Scary boys? Okay, whatever. I'll just keep an eye out. Hi. You might be a bitch to fight on this character. Oops, that was really elegant. Oh, damn! That's a nuts delay! Whoa! What was that delay? I was not ready for that. It took so long to swing. Oops. Iframes, baby. Yeah. These guys, I feel like these guys are tough exclusively because you don't fight a lot of them, so you don't get to practice on them. That's how a lot of enemies are like in these games. Oh, look. What an inconspicuous room. Oh my gosh! I can't believe Five Nights at Freddy's popped out at that moment. That was so scary. I've never played video games before. Oh! I'm sure some people might believe I never played video games before. Oh. Whoa. Aldrich's Sapphire. And an Ember. I like those guys. I don't know if you ever fight them again. Maybe you do. I haven't beaten this game. Because I'm a fucking scrub. And yet I'm analyzing it. Eh. Nice. I do plan on beating this game on stream. I have decided. That'll be a lot of fun. Ah, Jesus. So, I have a question for y'all. I'm thinking about comparing and contrast. Like, this is such a weird fucking thing. And I feel like just the gimmick of doing it will attract a lot of attention. And maybe that'll be nice. I seriously want to compare and contrast the emotional storytelling of fucking Dark Souls and Doki Doki Literature Club. Because I'm a madman. But I actually want to do that. Because I find Dark Souls uplifting and I find Doki Doki disheartening in a way that probably was not intended. So, I don't know, I just have so much to say about it. Oops. Nope. Buy my sword. Fun fact, when I first saw that, I actually thought it meant buy my sword as in purchase my sword. Like, hey, look at this fine product. Because I'm fucking dyslexic. I actually thought that. There are some items up there. Whatever, I can do that in a second. Hello? Hello. Goodbye. Some nice ass acupuncture. Very soothing. This guy's weird. I don't even know if he actually drops down. I've never seen him drop down. Oops. Oops. Okay, I love this. It's so cute. I just love that little animation. It does not suit the vibe of this game at all, and that's why it's so charming. Just a little, like, oh man. Oh, jeez. Be wary of up. Whenever I'm in a situation like that, I always leave the message of, try targeting. Or try locking on. Dark Literature Club. Analysis on Doki Doki is hot right now. Yeah, but I don't like it. And everybody else does. So that's why I'm a little nervous. But, I don't know. I still want to do it. Do it, dude. Sounds interesting. Yeah, it seems like everyone wants me to do it. So, I am interested. Dark Souls is pretty much about making light of the darkness, being at peace with it, exactly. But people probably will not like your opinion of Doki Doki if the vid draws in normies. Ugh, gross. I would watch that. It's zany and I like zany. Yeah. I do want to be a brave boy. Kaijo? I don't know what Kaijo is. If it involves ass acupuncture and it's an anime, then That sounds like a really bad recipe. Sounds like something Corey might like. I like shit-talking my friends when they're not on stream to defend themselves. Hey! Get out of here. Speaking of, I wish I could stream 3DS games, because I've been I can't believe that I like this game as much as I do. I fucking love Miitopia. It's like the funniest, most charming game I've played in a long time. It's just, you know, you team up, you have your little team of Miis. They can be whatever Miis you want. They can be Miis from the internet that other people have made. They can be your own Miis. They can be your friends. I made a team of myself, Max, also known as Funky Billiards, Yannick, also known as Camel Traffic, and Corey. And we, like, all teamed up. It's just fucking hilarious. Like, you stay at the inn, you raise your friendship, you have wild and crazy adventures together. It's adorable. It's funny. It's lighthearted. It's just the kind of game I needed in my life. I wish it wasn't so expensive, because it is not a game that should cost like $40. I think that that's ridiculous, but it is very long. I would prefer to pay $30, because it is pretty substantial, but that seems like a ridiculous price for what it is. But it's very charming. Okay, let's do a little drop down. That's like out of ideal sniping range. You would think that they'd embrace the idea of being on fire, but I guess not. Look at that guy all spread out nice for me. Pretend I didn't say that. Exploding bolt. I forgot that you can get those here. Those are pretty handy. It takes a long time before you can buy them, right? Because exploding bolts is one of those things that makes crossbows sound pretty cool. Like, I would like to use them. The Lloyd's sword ring is actually pretty useful, too. If you plan on never getting hit. Which, I mean, I'm sure that we all plan to never get hit. Have I done everything? I think I have. Huh. That kind of crept up on me. But I believe that we've done just about everything. We gotta talk to a friend. See if he is doing well. You'll see what I mean. I guess we'll clear the giant since I'm good on items. Hi, buddy. So this is bullshit. Let's explain why. Got a bunch of slimes. They're really hidden. They blend in really well with a sludge. Here's why that's a problem. Because you kind of want to go up there and just fight the giant, but you can't because you got all these little babies that are just going to be stabbing you while you're trying to fight. And as you can see, like, they're not a threat alone. But they're a chore, because I'm going to do this without fire, and you're going to see how irritating this can be on certain builds. If you are not using any fire, which, I mean, is pretty reasonable. It's pretty reasonable to not use fire. That's how long it takes to kill one of these things. And bear in mind that I'm using a pretty powerful weapon for this time in the game. Like, this is one of the best damage-dealing weapons you can have at this point in the game. So, you know, it's a little bit bullshit. What's the deal with game design? But yeah, fortunately, I can kind of hack the system. Can very methodically take these guys out. Another thing is that, like, the game will stupidly target slimes when you want to target the giant, and it will target the giant when you want to target slimes. Yeah, like that. Thanks, game. Thanks for the example. Also, this guy just kind of shows up like, hey, I'm here too. And now he's dead. It's just kind of an obnoxious set of circumstances. Like, even with fire, it's like, ugh. Yeah, see? It's pretty old. Okay. And we're still not done. Yeah, plus the shockwave makes this a little bit more unfair, because you never really know how the game wants you to dodge these. It's very awkward. It's best to not target. You can also just run past. That's why this isn't that big of a deal. You can just run past, and it's not that hard. But it's not always easy to run past either. Some very sexy armor here, though. And I'd like to take my time and get it. Oy. I think that guy might have more HP than the other giant, too. I'm not positive, though, because he seems to take a lot longer. But that could just be because of all the inconveniences surrounding him. I don't know. I feel like there's just too many factors stacking against you that make that an unfun fight. But I love the Drang set, and that's what's here. It's just kind of good middle-tier armor that looks really, really nice. Like, it's middle-tier armor, top-tier fashion souls. But I'm covered in poop right now, so I'm probably not going to look good regardless. Drang. Give me that Drang. Where's my Drang? Where's my Drang? Okay, where is the Drang? Wait, what? Didn't I get it? Okay, there it is. I'm blind, that's all. Styling. I don't know about the green hair with this, but it's a very cool look. I don't really have a helmet that necessarily goes with it. The hood pretty much always works pretty well. But, I do want some protection. Yeah, let's just go back to what we were doing before. That's our ideal fashion souls for the moment. Gotta balance the fashion with the passion, you know what I'm saying? If you like making silly Mii's, Miitopia and Tomodachi would be a lot of fun. Yeah. Me and my friends are currently teamed up against Dark Lord Trump. So, we're having a blast. TNA-based sports. How do we... Oh, that's what the anime is. Kaijo, okay. What class did I make Max? I made him a little pief. Because of one of his favorite memes. I'm a cleric that does almost as much damage as our warrior. Because I roll, that's just how I roll. Hi. Do you see me? I guess you do. Whoop! 3D! Put on your 3D glasses, kids. But, I made Corey a mage, and Yannick is a energetic warrior that charges into battle with no strategy, because that is how he plays Dark Souls. Hello. Drank. Damn. The timing on these attacks is so weird. Hi. Thanks, asshole. Why did you have to be there? It's not even as fast as those guys can move. Wow, these guys are easy. I don't need to fight all these guys, really. In fact, let's just get everything in. Go see if Patches showed up? Because I really don't think he... I guess he wouldn't, would he? I don't know. I don't know how that works. But we might have to activate Patches the other way. But let's activate this thing. Oh, look at chat. Oh, my spine. Let's see. That greatsword works best on humanoid hollows, yeah. It's a pretty good weapon in general. Hairy bacon. It's actually amazing how detailed and realistic those gross feetsies are. They really are. Covered in poop. What is this, a Binding of Isaac stream? Ugh. He's an aggro warrior. Gets everything aggroing, gets a team killed. Exactly. It's part of his strategy to get every single one of us completely fucked over. Have you ever done a D&D? I certainly want to. I've never really had the time. What the fuck? The lighting looks really weird. What the fuck do I want to do? Let's go rest. And then take it to the deeks, as Corey likes to say. Shh, okay, I hit the button. I hit the attack button. Just kind of didn't feel like it. Okay. Hold on, I want to check my controller after this. Okay, hold on. We good? Scaring me a little bit. Boy, what you doing? Why would you even do that? Alright. Well, it's nothing major. I mean, it's impressive, I guess, but... I'm kind I suppose, like... Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not going to do it, but I know how to do it. Let me guess. Why? Never change. Never change, Dark Souls community. You had so much to live for. Let's see. A usual response I get to, why would you do that, is to make people ask questions, exactly. I feel like that's the only reason. After I kill the deeks, I might call it a wrap, because that was a good, almost 3-hour stream again. I don't know, we'll see. I have a lot of... I have decent energy, but I want to save some of it for writing. But I'm glad that people want me to do, like, that Doki Doki Dark Souls thing. That Toki Souls thing. I don't even know how I'm gonna title it. To just explain the premise of that fucking insanity. Because that is quite the weird premise, isn't it? Let's just run through here, I guess. I'd rather not. Okay. There we go. Bye. Man, I would flip the fuck out if these guys could climb ladder. Like, can you imagine this thing just scaling a wall with all its maggots? Ugh. God, that is like my least favorite enemy. I like to imagine the sound guy just taking a piece of raw beef and slapping it on a bathroom floor to make the sound effect of that thing stepping. Ugh. If you've never seen a behind the scenes of something where they make sound effects, look it up because it's usually pretty funny. Just the sound effects that they use. And the way that they come up with them. They're often very gross. Hold on, do we need to talk to Onion Boy first? Shit. Let's talk to Onion Boy. Oh, 12 people. Okay. I don't know how many people have been here at the most. Yeah, let's go check on Onion. Should we? I don't know how this quest works, so I'm just going to do what I usually do, just to make sure that it works properly, because the quest with Sigurd and Patches is very strange. I hope Patches sells coins, because I want to be able to farm items. Well, I probably wouldn't do that on this character, honestly, because this is the stream character, and I don't want you guys to watch that shit. Could that be my best friend? Oh, my. So disappointed. I love this character so much. So, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure that because of the circumstances in which we, like, you know, lowered that bridge, I'm pretty sure that we have to go do things a little bit differently in order to get Patches to show up. Because it's Patches who fucked over Sigurd. I don't know why I didn't even kill him, but whatever. Oh... Yes, okay. Wait, fuck. Okay. Sorry, just checking things. It'll all be clear in a moment. So we gotta go up here. And something very interesting I noticed is you will actually hear a door slamming behind you. If this goes right. Let me turn up the... audio a little bit, because I'm sure that Sigurd was very quiet to y'all. Voice is the most important thing to be loud. So, if we listen carefully, we might be able to hear it. Yeah, there you go. That's the sound of the gate closing. It's really funny how he thinks that... I don't know. Patches is adorable to me because he's not... I feel like the whole point of him is that he's really not as clever as he thinks he is. Because he's really not.
Sorry, friend. Be more careful. By the gods, curiosity is gonna kill you, kittens. Some places are better left alone, you know. Oh, sorry. Am I a tad too late? Have no fear. There's beauty in death. Besides, you're surrounded by ladies. Every man's dream, right?
You bastard. Whatever will I do? What a hopeless circumstance. You can also jump down safely. I think it's funnier to do that to his face. Then we're gonna go up and talk to him. I also think it's kind of absurd considering the fact that he probably knows that you're undead. Does he not know what being undead means? I don't know, I've always gotten the vibe that he might not be the smartest cookie in the tool shed. You know what I mean?
You're alive. Now, hold your horses. Let's have a nice talk about this. I'll come clean. I did you wrong. I didn't mean it, though. Not one bit. You get these urges, running the business and all, and I hate myself for it. I do. You know what I mean. Terrible, really. But I can see you'll forgive me. You're alive, after all. And that's what counts, right? Oh, for heaven's sake, no need to jest with a face like that. You're still alive, and I'm here groveling in the dirt, so to speak. Oh, I know. Here, a token of my sincerity. Right and proper, huh? We're just a couple of outcasts. Let's make the best of it. I see you've made progress.
Associate of a good thief.
But he did me a good turn back in Lothric Dungeon. Doubtless I should do something about that little bit. Well, maybe not. Well, I hardly believe he's still standing.
Let's see, so you do sell normal russet coins, which is handy. You also sell these. This is all of our friend's armor. Now, he also sells poison arrows. But here's a little fun fact about him.
Can't find anything you like. Well, you could try looking a little harder.
You know what? I'm going to let y'all decide. What happens? I got my finger on the trigger. It's up to y'all. Still in the Hitman mood. Absolutely. I'm doing something Hitman related in a little bit. I can't say it because I want it to be a bit of a surprise. Forgiveness? That's disgusting. Oh, you can start selling better shit. Tell me about it. I'm really tempted to kill him. It's not like he really benefits me in any way. Well, I need more opinions here. Getting a little itchy. Getting a little itchy here. My trigger finger. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of making him flinch. He's like, huh? Is that guy gonna do something back there? You know what? I forgive you.
Wait, calm down, please. You damn heartless, good-for-nothing oaf. Well, now it's my turn. I'm unbreakable, Axiom. Nobody can crack me.
What the fuck? Oh, well.